but if you want one, go ahead. I still.
I shouldn't drink.
We're about to be live.
Do I need to put this on?
As soon as so our intro will start to play.
Oh.
And it's about a minute long. And so we'll start off. Amy's a pro at this, but we'll start off sort of introducing our show,
Amy.
Explaining.
Amy,
You hear me? Yep, you can hear me. Should I keep myself unmuted? Should I keep it
Yeah,
unmuted?
keep yourself
Okay.
muted.
All right. Get any feedback or anything? Okay.
What was I going to say to you is,
I'm just gonna
are we
talk to
still going
Sherman.
with Masferrer?
Yeah, Amy Hubert Masferrer. I know. It's long, complicated, just like me. So
Hubert? Say it again. I don't want to say it wrong.
Amy Hubert Masferrer.
Mass for air. That's how.
Yeah.
That's how I'm gonna write it.
And Adam will.
Yeah, I know Adam Levine. He won't tell me.
I know you're gonna say Adam.
He won't tell me if he has tattoos. He goes, "We're not there yet." That's what you.
Yeah, just let Trevor know what we do. So
Okay.
in the beginning
Getting
of
in
the
trouble,
show, introduce,
Sherman
like,
Law
our show,
Group, Sherman
and
Law.
then
Sherman Law.
Mary is with us tonight. Her and Sam are doing their engagement photos in New Hampshire.
Offices in
So we'll say
Hingham?
that.
Hingham and
in
We'll
Plymouth.
say that we have two guests tonight. One is brand new to our show. We'll talk
Amy,
about
phone
our
number?
topic or introduce
617-504-9151. I'm just gonna give my direct cell because
Okay. Maybe you're okay with that being on the air.
Areas
I am, if anyone handsome calls, I'm fine with it.
So I didn't tell you the story, but we should have dinner one night.
Yeah.
Picture this: the night before we're leaving to Greece for Casey's wedding.
Yep.
My father had a bad fall 2 weeks before. He was hospital,
Yeah.
whatever. They want him discharged in 48 hours. I'm like, I'm leaving tomorrow for Greece. My sister says, I don't care if you ever talk to me again. I'm not taking care of him while you're gone. Okay, great. I'll deal with that.
Fantastic. Yeah.
No one else. Finally, I get home that night. I'm dealing with like insurance and all this other stuff.
We have your card.
And then, I had to do some, I haven't, at that point, I haven't gotten my nails done. I haven't packed. I haven't done anything yet, right? We're leaving. Yeah, at least it's at night, so I know I'm getting my nails done. Casey calls 5:24 p.m. hyperventilating. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, I literally thought that Dustin got ran over by a car walking to work to Cambridge. She's like, Mom, I was just checking into the airline and I never looked at my passport and it expired in January.
Oh my God.
How come I can't hear the studio?
Oh my gosh. That's insane. How did you fix it? What did you do?
Wasn't easy, but you know what? Hold on one sec because I don't know why George isn't here. George,
He is here. but
Is
we
he?
can't hear the intro.
I can hear you in Q. I can hear you. Do we have music going, George? Can you unmute?
Yeah, you're live right now.
We're live on the air right now. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Intro just played.
all right. Well, hello to all my South Shore neighbors. This is Sharon McNamara, and you are, of course, listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. We are here live in our WATD studio. You probably heard us chatting around there a little bit. So we have a couple of guests with us this evening, and we have George, who is manning the phones and everything at WATD studio for us in Marshfield. So hello, George. Haven't heard you in a while. Haven't been around in a while. And
Hey, Sharon, how are you doing?
good. All right. Just checking that we're all good there. So we have a couple of guests tonight. And of course, I have Melissa with me. Melissa is my
Hello.
sidekick. How are you?
I almost said side chick, but that's a totally different thing.
You are my side chick.
No, that is something different.
Oh, is it something I shouldn't say on the air?
Yeah, not something we should say on the air, but we have said it now twice.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yes, I am here tonight. We are missing our third partner in crime, Mary Baker. She is up in New Hampshire with her soon-to-be husband, doing their engagement photos. Shan, do their engagement photos. So it is us tonight, but we do have two special guests tonight, one of which has joined us on the show before, and the other, it's his first time with us.
So excited to have you.
So why don't we introduce our veteran first? So our newbie over here can get sort of the lay of the land a little bit. So we have, okay, you have the best.
Oh, okay.
You have the,
Okay, yeah. Well, we know her like so well. I mean, I was just telling her a story about my daughter, so maybe everybody on WATD heard it too. But it all turned out well, and she ended up at the wedding. But of course, we have attorney Amy Hubert Masferrer. I always like it. There's so many pieces to it. I just want you to meet someone with the last name Smith.
I do too. Dreams can come true.
Yes. All right. So if there are any Smiths or Joneses or anything, there, we need you. Okay.
Yes.
And Amy is with Sherman Law, and they have two offices, one in Hingham and a new office in Plymouth, which is very exciting. I know you went to the grand opening.
Yeah, not to interrupt and to take time away from you, Amy, but Mary and I did make it to your grand opening in Plymouth. Sharon was with one of her clients, but Mary and I went down there, and honestly, we went down there to sort of celebrate you, Amy, to celebrate your office and Tim. And we sort of stayed the entire night. I think we left at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah. No, the best. It was the best.
Yeah. It's just a really good time. We had a couple other agents come. We knew a couple loan officers there as well. So we just all sort of hung out and had a few drinks after the party, and it was good. It was good. It was a beautiful night in Plymouth, and that your office is beautiful. And we kept saying over and over again as you were giving us the tour, oh my God, Sharon would love this. Sharon would love this. Sharon would love this. So we took some pictures and stuff. So
we're very excited just to offer, especially with more business going further South Shore from the Cape. It's just another closing location for our clients to try to make it as convenient as possible, and fully manned. And it's great to be expanding. Keep things rolling. So I appreciate you guys stopping by for sure.
Yes.
More than stopping by. So thank you.
And congratulations to you guys. I know opening up the second office, it's sort of a big deal, and we're excited for you and for Tim Sherman, of course, and all the attorneys at your office. You're all great. I know that Melissa had mentioned that there were some other loan officers there. We're not going to overshadow the loan officer we have sitting right now.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, he is the sharpest dressed loan officer I have ever seen.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate that.
Okay, so I'll introduce him.
Yeah,
so tonight we are joined by Trevor Levine. He is from Superior Rate Mortgage of New England, and you stopped by and you just sort of like bright up our office. So every single Sharon today was like, why don't we ask Trevor to be on the show? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's ask Trevor. So, Trevor, why don't you introduce yourself to all of our listeners? This is your first time on the show. So introduce yourself, areas that you service, anything that you want our listeners to know about you.
Well, thank you for the great introduction, ladies. I am blushing here right now and almost don't even know how to respond with that introduction. But thank you very much. And yes, I try to be positive all the time, especially in this environment, right, that we're currently in.
Yeah. It is important to be positive, and hopefully our show tonight will go in the positive direction of, we're talking about interest rates. I gave it away a little bit, but go ahead.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah. So Trevor, how long have you been in the industry? Company that you're with, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So I've been in the industry now going on 4 years. I work for Superior Rate Mortgage of New England. We're headquartered, as you said, in North Andover. We are the fastest growing mortgage broker in the state of Massachusetts, and the largest.
Wow.
And currently, I am servicing areas in Florida, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to be honest. Like, you probably did tell me that one time, but I didn't remember. So can you repeat all those, I was going to say countries. Oh my goodness. All those states that you can do.
Are you going to make me do it in order again?
No, you can do it any way you want.
Okay. So right now I'm licensed in Florida, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts.
Nice. That's good to know. Awesome. So especially around here, when we have so many snowbirds, I think that that's good because you can be servicing them here and there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And I know that Newport is sort of really, really hot right now. Well, it's always hot, but Newport, Rhode Island, a lot of people who do a lot of summer houses and things like that down there too. So I think that that is awesome. That's great. And yeah, and I do really appreciate when you come in, you know, you're just, like I said, you're just, I love a person with gusto, you know what I mean? And you just come in and you're just like, hey, I just want to introduce myself to you. And, you know, I'm not a very salesy person, so I don't like salesy attempts.
Yep.
But you've just been very genuine. And Amy knows, Amy's been on the show with us several times. Amy knows I adore her. My daughter did her internship at the office that she was previously, and she just loved Amy as well. But we want people who are genuine because our WATD listeners trust us to bring them, you know, customer service and people who care about them. So we're very happy to have you.
Thank you. I love that you, may I touch on that for a second?
Yeah, of
if
course.
you don't mind. You know, I love that you said that. And the whole thing is about earning trust for me. I'm an advisor.
Yep.
And I learned a long time ago starting out in this industry that the minute you come off as a salesperson is the minute you lose basically their interest and you lose their trust. And I want to make sure that when I speak to potential clients or my clients, that they know that I have their best interest in mind at all times.
That's perfect. Yes. And that's what we always want. I know right now you and Amy are working on something together with new construction. So we'll get into that a little bit. Amy, why don't you give our listeners, for those who haven't heard you, I mean, you've been on the show several times, but give them a little bit of, you know, history of you and your attorneyship. Is that a word?
Or I will keep it to the attorneyship because we don't need to know more than that. But so I have been in real estate for 20 years since I basically left law school. I won't give it a date there because there's no need for that. But I started my practice in foreclosure by default. Basically, I came in to cover a friend's maternity leave and ended up staying when the senior partner passed away. So it was a very quick, entrenched world of learning the lender side, which has been quite invaluable to me as I flip over to the sales side. So, you know, I've worked for the biggest and the best South Shore law firms, including Sherman Law, who just won the best of South Shore for our law firm for real estate. So we're really excited about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been a good landing pad for me. And, you know, I really focus on individual people. I'm great with first-time home buyers, people with situational moves, as I like to say. You know, change of life circumstances is definitely kind of a specialty of mine just from my background and something I hold dear to my heart as well. So, but that's me.
That is you. But you're also a mom of three. Four? Is it four? Four.
Well, the oldest one is 21. I don't know if I can claim him anymore, but yeah, 4.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he wants you to claim him though.
Yes, especially when I'm Venmoing him, I find that very acceptable of that. So yes, yeah.
He'll always need you, no matter what age. He will.
Oh yes. No, I'm very lucky. Yeah, 4 kids, 21 down to age 10, full house, which means I'm always working because I have college tuitions to pay.
Well,
So
I think,
yeah.
I don't know if I said it to you or if I said it to Mary or maybe Sharon. I don't know. The other day I said it to somebody, maybe it was you, about you, saying, I don't know how you do it. Like you are a mom of 4, which we're friends on Facebook. I can see that you do so much with your kids.
Yeah.
And just knowing you personally, I know how much you love your kids and would do anything for them. And
Yeah.
I also know that you work so hard too. So I was saying, like, I don't know how she does it. Like, how does she have the time to go to our events? I know you come to our, I know you go to other events, and I've seen you even at events that don't even have anything to do with us, so I know you're out there doing as much as you can possibly do. And I'm like, I don't know how she does it.
Yeah, I have to say I grew up in the business, so I don't work-life balance to me is just like it's one continuum. I work to support my kids, and that all influxes into and I'm very lucky that I'm at the point in my career that the work is always gets done. I can maneuver that around what I need to do for the kids. So I've been very blessed to do that. But you know, hustle and muscle is how I raise my kids, and it's a good thing for them to see me work and see, you know, I'll literally, as we go through a closing, I'll be like, just so you know, your camp costs this much. That's one closing. That's two closings. That's, you know, I'm really trying to teach fiscal responsibility to my kids as they grow. So if they see me sweat, then maybe they'll learn how to do it themselves too. That's my hope. Anyways.
Especially having one in college, right? Just the one?
I do. Yeah. He's going to be a senior next year.
Oh.
Then I have a senior at Catholic Memorial. So we're looking at colleges now. A freshman at Notre Dame, and little Thomas coming at St. Agatha's in the rear. So poor Thomas. By the time he graduates, I might have a walker, but you know, we'll figure it out.
All to himself. That will be the good thing for him. So
That's true.
Yeah. So tonight's topic, I'm really excited to talk about, just because, you know, we've been talking about the interest rates going up. And honestly, like if I read another article, if I hear another story, it's funny because I guess I'm not really media, but I guess I am because I'm on the radio. If I hear it, it's like I go outside every morning and I look up and I'm like, boy, the sky is not falling, right? So I think that what we have to do is put everything into perspective and figure out how we can maybe calm the nerves of people who are still out there who want to buy, calm the nerves of sellers who are like, oh my gosh, this is going to crash. Calm the nerves of the people who did emotionally purchase and the thought, oh my gosh, if the market does crash, I'm going to lose all this, you know, equity in my home. I just want to sort of get over all those fears. But I thought it would be nice to have the two of you here tonight, one, to talk about mortgage contingencies, like how are people protected through this process, and then giving our buyers options for different loans with lower rates. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Sounds like a plan. All right, perfect.
I also want to just say for our listeners, we have been talking about contingencies lately, not just mortgage contingencies, but you know what we're seeing trend wise, are buyers still waiving these things? So I'm going to ask the two of you, are you seeing buyers still waiving their mortgage contingency? And what does that mean when they waive it?
Do you want to take this one, Amy?
Sure, absolutely. I still am seeing buyers waive their mortgage contingency. It's still a fairly competitive market out there. Not as much as I used to. It used to be that the mortgage contingency wasn't coming across my desk. Everything was being beat out by cash deals. But I still see some waivers, and I would say it's about 50-50 right now, where before it was maybe 20% had a mortgage contingency in them. So we're definitely seeing a balancing of the market. Mm-hmm. I also have seen the return of the inspection contingency, which was gone for a very long time. I'm sure our inspector friends are very happy to have that business back. So, you know, it is to the benefit of the buyers. There is starting to be some reason coming back to the game in terms of the negotiations. The sellers aren't holding absolutely every card at this point. And we've also seen an influx of inventory, which is amazing. I think since January, we've tripled our inventory. And even with the increase in rates, I've seen more buyers connect on deals in the past 2 weeks that, you know, since the rates have gone up, you know, so it is not as bleak as you think. And, you know, real estate is a long game. You have to have skin in the game. And, you know, as Trevor will talk about, there's the option to refinance when the rates come down, but there's not always the opportunity to get that house. So, and if you've lived through the housing shortage, that is a harder problem to solve and takes longer time to resolve than, you know, staying in the game for a little bit, refinancing, or, you know, as I know Trevor will discuss, I've seen the return of ARMs, 10-year locks, things like that. So there are options out there for sure.
Trevor, do you want to talk a little bit about that? You know, what you are seeing when it comes, explain to everybody what like a 5-1 arm, 10-1 arm is.
Yeah. So right now with this volatile, rapid raising rate environment that we're in right now currently, which we haven't, to kind of throw some context in what we're experiencing in right now, we haven't seen this environment for 40 years, going back to all the way to the 70s when inflation was at an all-time high. So just to throw context at that, with this, inflation is the big driver of interest rates, as we all know, and that's what we're battling right now, is we're at extreme high point of inflation. So in order to kind of combat this, we have to up.
Mhm.
Well, this makes ARMs more attractive.
Mhm.
And what an ARM is it is called an adjustable rate mortgage.
Mhm.
Okay. And it's based on two parts. So you have your index and you have your margin.
Mhm.
And the index plus the margin is the rate you pay.
Mhm.
And how this works is, so your margin is a set number of points that
Mhm.
does not change.
Yep.
And your index is your floating rate that's
Okay.
adjustable. Okay.
Mhm.
So how these ARMs work is you're before a couple years ago, we used to see it as a 7-1 or a 5-1, 7-1 or 10-1.
Yep.
Okay. Now what we're seeing is you're seeing that same thing, but you're seeing it as a 5-6, 7-6, and a 10-6. So what this means and how this breaks down.
Okay.
So the first number on that ARM
Mhm.
is the introductory rate that you receive.
Okay.
And that's the period in which you receive it. So if it's it's 3, 5, 7, and 10, those are the common ones that we see today.
Mhm.
Meaning, so we'll take a 5-6 for an
Okay.
example. Okay.
Are you seeing the same thing, Amy? So are you following along with this too?
They are. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
So what a 5-6 is, meaning that for 5 years,
Yeah.
you'll have an introductory rate of say 5%, just
Okay.
hypothetically.
Yeah.
Okay. And after that 5-year period,
Mhm.
you're going to have an adjustment period every 6 months. That's what the 6 is, meaning that you're
Okay,
going to
months.
have an adjustment of every 6 months. Now, the way the ARMs work is, so you'll be locked in that rate for the introductory period. And once they adjust, there's always a cap.
Mhm.
Now, with the new SOFR, that's the new index rate that it's attached to. It used to be LIBOR. Getting a little more technical.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But so
Don't.
yeah, it's not over.
You have to dumb it down for me, my friend.
So there's always a cap on these rates once they adjust. So with the new SOFR, it's 1%.
Okay.
So
So if I'm 5, so we're talking about a 5-6 right now. So for 5 years, I'm paying 5% as our example.
Correct.
And then 5 years and the next day would be into my 6 months that I'm paying an adjustable up or
After-
down.
So after that 5-year period,
Yeah.
correct.
Mhm.
So once 6 months passes, then your rate is going to adjust and it can go up or down by
Okay.
max of a cap of 1%.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so the most it could go up to in this scenario is 6%
Correct.
for 6 months.
Correct.
What
For-
happens
for-
after 6 months?
So after 6 months, it can rise again and drop again and it will adjust, but the maximum is a 1%. It can only go 1% up and it can
Every
only go
6 months.
Correct. 1% down.
For how many years?
So this would be 30 years.
For 30 years. That's
Yeah.
how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
And what if I just didn't, after the 5 years was up, what are my options?
So your options are that you would be receiving the rate that adjusts every 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's where basically if you're, the big thing with ARMs is they're great, right? Because
Yeah.
they offer this lower rate in a time where rates are rising.
Yeah.
Now the big question that you have to ask yourself for ARMs is when is it right for you?
Yeah.
Right. When ARMs are good for a particular individual
Mhm.
is if they're thinking about paying off their mortgage.
And if someone's just joining us, we're not talking about guns,
No.
arms.
Adjustable rate mortgages.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, sorry, lost my train of thought.
Sorry,
there.
I do that to people. Sorry, go ahead.
What was I?
So after the 5 years, they're
Yeah.
locked in and then they
Yes.
can decide to take that other rate. So if the other rate at 5 years in one day, the rate, let's just say it dropped to 3%, just using extravagant, they could then lock in at 3% for the rest of the 30 years or no?
No. So that's what I was going to,
Oh, okay.
that's what I was going into.
Okay.
So where ARMs are
That
going to,
seems too good to be true, but.
it is. So like I was getting back to, when are ARMs a good option for somebody?
Mhm.
And that is usually if you are thinking about holding on to your mortgage for a short period of time or
Mhm.
paying it off in a really quick period of time.
Okay.
And why this is, right? So particularly, this is good because you want to avoid that balloon payment.
Yep.
Right. We're good for that introductory period because we're locked in at a particular rate and we have security with that rate.
Okay.
The unknown is when it starts adjusting. And that becomes a big problem for people if they reach that adjustment period because they don't know what the new rate could be. And if it shoots up 1%, that could be a huge cost to them in which they are not potentially could not be prepared for depending on their current situation.
Yeah, which happened to people, right, Amy? I mean, we saw that happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, the changes that, when I was in foreclosure is there were no caps, right? So these things would just build and build and build. And there was kind of no limit on the increment that it could happen. Also, there were prepayment penalties. So if you tried to refinance your way out of it, you were still paying that balloon payment. My understanding now, and Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, is that now you can refinance your way out of it.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. That's the big difference. And that's why I think we see the resurgence of them, because people are saying, I'll have this for 5 years. We're going to see what happens with the new, presidential election, all the things that affect things going forward, and seeing if we can kind of adjust under the recession, and then we'll refinance. So I have seen them rise in popularity for sure.
And so the difference in a rate, so we're just using 5 as an example. So right now, I know, just as a disclosure for you, I mean, everybody's rate is different based on their own circumstances. But let's just say you had somebody who has good credit and they were going to get a 30-year fixed right now. What are you looking at? Like 6 in?
So right now, if you were going to get a 30-year fixed mortgage, conventional, you have good credit, which is perfect credit, anything above 740, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get optimal pricing. You put down 20%. You're looking at a 5.8 time, right around there.
Okay.
Now, so kind of to go touch back on the adjustable rate mortgage, not to go back, but it'll lead into
No, we
this.
should.
So right now, what we're seeing, because we're in this period of rapid raising rates, why the adjustable works for a lot of people is because what we're seeing with the economy, right?
Yeah.
We have this economy, we're fighting inflation. And so one of the biggest things to kind of let our viewers know here, and how can I go into the economy real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So right now,
the floor is yours.
okay. So right now, to combat inflation, right? We have to raise interest rates.
Yeah.
That's the biggest way to be. In the simplest context, we have to stall out the economy.
Yep.
Okay. To combat inflation. So once we do that, we raise rates high enough to a point where the economy stops, essentially. And then once the economy stops, we have to reboot it. And how we reboot this is we always drop interest rates on mortgages, which is a major player in the economy. And you can track this historically.
Yep.
So what we're seeing in the market is, depending on how you're looking, depending on what you see, some people say we're entering a recession right now.
Yeah.
This, from a mortgage standpoint, is actually a good thing because of what I just said.
Yeah.
Because what it means is, moving forward, interest rates are going to drop. And from what I see, based on what I see the numbers, I think interest rates are going to drop within a year.
Okay.
So how I'm advising all my clients moving forward is, 1, to not pay points, and 2, to look into adjustable rate mortgages, right? Because take that introductory rate, that low rate, and knowing with where the economy is right now, the state of the economy and where we have to get to, within a year from now, you're going to be looking at a significant interest rate drop.
And even if it's 2 years, because isn't it like historically we'll see these things in 16 to 24 months, like they sort of hold like that.
True.
Right.
Yeah. It takes longer for things to actually come into action.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, even let's even say 24 months, I think that it makes sense to do a lower rate. Well, so I guess that's my question is what is really the differential? I mean, if you're not paying points, and the differential between being, firm at 6% versus being 5 years at 5%, well, how much am I saving? Then I have to refinance and all the costs and everything associated with it. So can I just refinance a 30-year fixed when the time comes to?
You could definitely finance a 30-year fixed when the time comes. So what we need to look at there is your time frame.
Okay.
Right. And a break-even point.
Yeah.
So I'm always telling people, hey, don't pay points, not right now, because if you really want that lower rate, right, the cost that you're going to pay up front right now is going to be more than the cost that you're going to pay up front later. And then your long-term cost is going to be obviously extended too, if you pay now rather than later.
Yeah.
And
I just personally think everybody should be putting money in their mattress, but that's okay.
So a quick way to kind of give you some context on this.
Yeah.
A 1% change in interest rate is a 10% decrease in buying power.
Okay.
So for instance, on that $500,000 home, right, If interest rates go up 1%,
Mhm,
now you've lost $50,000. So in buying power
mhm.
than you were before. So instead of a $500,000 home, you're looking at a $450,000 home just
Mhm.
with that 1% rate hike.
Yep.
That is a drastic difference,
Mhm.
and which pushes a lot of people out of qualifying.
Well, especially when we're seeing, when we're seeing the market that has been so emotionally driven for so long, artificially inflated sale prices that weren't appraising, but that's another show. But I think people will, if you could now afford 450, are we telling our clients to look at houses for 350? I don't see us doing the 100,000 over asking anymore. But in some instances, the higher priced houses, they're certainly going 50, 100,000 over still. Are you still
Right.
seeing that, Amy?
I am, yes, yeah. There's always those turnkey properties that, are going to pull that high price. I think the sellers right now are kind of getting an education though, that not every property is a turnkey property. And, there has to be some adjustment on their expectations for sure. But, I think, Trevor obviously knows his stuff, which is amazing. Just hearing about the purchasing power and the shift of just a 1% change, it seems so small, but it significantly impacts your qualifications. And, we always talk about if you're out there on the market and you're running around with a qualification letter that you had from 2 months ago, it's no good. You need to get fresh. And I'll see with each of my clients who are offering on properties, reaching out for an adjusted current, same day pre-qualification letter, because the listing agents want to see that this still holds true. And I'm sure Trevor's probably getting calls every day. That being said, it's not all doom and gloom. I've seen a lot of buyers who've been on the market for a very long time connect this week and be overjoyed. And we do have to realize that the interest rates were uncharacteristically low.
Yes.
They
Mhm.
weren't in keeping with any normalcy. So
Mhm.
even though you might feel like you missed out on that, it really isn't the standard of which you can live and gauge your life in your economy. And it's wonderful to have a low interest rate on your home, but if people are paying $5.79 for a gallon of milk, there's other shifts that always happen. And we'll see adjustments in income, we'll see adjustments in employment. All of those things play into each other. You can never look at one thing in a bubble when you're talking about an economy. So I think that's important to know too, that with these adjustments, there's going to be more, you're going to have more cash power in your day-to-day life. And those things, certainly, I know as a mom of 4 children, those things add up. I'm not a fan of, putting people in houses they can't afford. I know you guys are the same way. And, I've had to watch in this time period, some people really make that leap, and me advising them, is this the right thing? I think reality is we're going to see a lot more fiscally responsible buyers. And this is the right direction, and not something entirely to be afraid of. You could say, I wish I bought when my interest rate was low, but if I paid $100,000 over for a property that didn't appraise, are you any more secure? I'm not sure, and you can wait out the market. There is, in terms of the interest rates. But if you see a home that financially fits you right now, you're never going to lose if you're playing the long game in real estate. And we also know that rental properties right now, a cost to rent is up 30% right now. So, it's all relative. If you're paying your mortgage, you're paying yourself in some regards into equity. If you're paying your lease, you're paying your landlord's mortgage, and you're not going to walk away with anything. So you have to look at it globally. And, as we look at mortgage contingencies, I think one of the biggest thing, and I know Trevor can talk about this too, is when do you lock in your rate? How do you do this? One of the things we talk about a lot, sellers for a long time had use and occupancies. Those things are starting to fade away. That could affect when a buyer could do their rate lock. So, how can we talk about extended rate locks? How can we write into mortgage contingencies that, a standard mortgage contingency says, I'll apply for a mortgage at prevailing rates. Now, if prevailing rates are fluctuating while you're still in that rate lock period, you might have to write a cap in there as to what rate you can go and still meet that mortgage commitment. So there's ways to play with that. I have not seen that yet, but I think that's where we're going to be heading. But I think the biggest thing is we have to talk about timing. When can you lock? For how long can you lock? I've heard of locks happening before people have accepted offers. They're locking the rates in and shopping for a house. So there's a lot of different creative ways to work through some of the issues that we're seeing. But again, this is normal. This is how things work, and kind of taking the sting out of it a little bit, I hope.
I did have a question. Just you touched on it briefly in the beginning when you were talking, was having an updated pre-approval letter. So with the interest rates sort of, rising faster than what people would like, how often do you suggest somebody getting a new pre-approval or an updated pre-approval? I mean, what is the process with that?
That's an excellent question.
Thank you. I am full of them.
And before Trevor gives the answer, I just want to remind all of our WATD listeners, you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable here at our studio in Pembroke. I am Sherman McNamara, the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, here with my sidekick and the director of operations here at Boston Connect Real Estate. Our team member Mary is out tonight, and so is Evis Mason. So they are not joining us this evening, but we do have two fabulous guests with us. We have Amy Hubert. It's the middle word that's actually messing me up. Hubert.
Like U-turn, which I probably should take sometimes.
Hubert Masferrer, and we also have, it's not Adam, it is Trevor. It is Trevor Levine with us this evening. So yes, and I'm very happy to have you as our guest tonight. If you have any questions for either one of us, we have a fabulous loan officer with us, and we also have a fabulous attorney with us. Please give us a call at the studio, and you can get through with George, 781-837-4900. If you're too bashful to do that, you can always go on to Facebook. We're on all the Connect pages, so you can find us on Boston Connect Real Estate. You can find us on me, Sharon Costa McNamara, or Pembroke Connect, Marshville Connect, Situate Connect, all the other Connect pages. And we would be happy to take any of your questions. So do you remember the question now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. He's sitting there.
I was going to take my question.
Now you can answer the question. Why don't we repeat the question and you can give the answer?
How often should a buyer get an updated pre-approval letter, and what is the process?
So in this particular time, every week.
I agree.
For a few different reasons. Rates are constantly changing every day, and they change by the hour, right? And particularly when you approve to somebody, you approve them to what their max is, because we want to know, in case there is a contingency in place, right, what their max and where they can go. Now, that max is always going to change, as we kind of expressed earlier, based on, when I gave you the example on 1% change. So with rates constantly changing, it's always a good idea to reevaluate that qualification and get back to them every week. That's what I do. And you stay in front of them, one, and two, it gives you an opportunity to alleviate any concerns in which they may have. That's what we do.
Yeah. And I went right before the show, I went and previewed a property that my client is going to be putting an offer in on. And I said to him, well, why don't you get updated pre-approval? He's been using his banker for the last 3 years. So don't worry, Trevor, it has nothing to do with not using you. It's just he had his own and always has. And I said, oh, you might want to give your guy a call and update your pre-approval. And he goes, well, I did that last week. And I said, I know, but I'm just trying to make your offer look the best I can, because chances are there's going to be multiple offers on this property. And I want that listing agent to look at it and say, oh, look, the date of this pre-approval is actually the date of the offer.
And that's an excellent point. I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't look at, but your pre-approval should be written directly for that particular property, and the date should be within a current time frame. It holds weight.
And what is it that you're looking at as a loan officer to update their pre-approval? So you're not like pulling their credit again. You're not doing like the extensive work that you have to do in order to say like, yeah, somebody would give you this amount of money to buy a house. Like, what is it that you're looking at, or do you do all that all over again?
No. So, I do a thorough underwrite initially, income, asset, credit, and debt. That's what everyone is going to be evaluated on. once I do that thorough underwrite and I go back and I double check every week, I'm basically just going through, running it through a scenario, seeing what the new rates are,
Mhm.
and then putting that rate into their qualification and seeing if they're still qualifying.
Mhm.
And then, really the most important part of that is obviously to see if they still qualify, but to make sure that I'm not wasting the agents that I work with, their time. Right. I don't want to say, hey, they're good to go. And then
Yeah.
they go to make an offer and they're not good to go. That puts all of them in a really bad situation.
Have you ever like pre-approved somebody and like say their max was 500, but they're not comfortable spending 500, so they'd rather it say, they can afford 450? Have you ever, I'm only asking because I have, we've had this discussion many times in our office.
Yep.
And I think Sharon's thought process, correct me if I'm wrong, is you would rather see a buyer's pre-approval as a listing agent
Mhm.
that they can afford
Mhm.
X amount of like so much. And even though they're only offering, maybe less than what that they can afford, but at least that they can afford to go up
Yeah.
higher. if
And
they
I
can.
there are definitely different ways that people like to do that. And sometimes loan officers will disagree with me. Sometimes attorneys will disagree with me, but I'm a very strong listing agent. And if you keep on changing your pre-approval for every time we might be negotiating back and forth, or every time you change your offer, I see zero value in that piece of paper you're giving me now. So for me,
Mhm.
as a listing agent, I would rather say, all right, my client can afford $900,000. Yeah, they're putting in an offer for $500,000 on your $400,000 house or whatever. It doesn't mean they can, because they can go more doesn't mean that that's the value that they see in your house.
Right.
Some people just like it to be right to the number. I'm curious, both of you, and we have 6 minutes left if you can believe it. So
Yes. I mean, for me, I think it, like a good attorney, I can argue both sides.
it depends.
Right. It does. I hate to say that, but I do think you want to see a comfortable number that, sorry, I don't know why I just disappeared there. A comfortable number that they can clear. I have certainly seen it argued that, oh, there's more money in the pot. Can't we go back to that? But again, that isn't real money. That is financed money.
Mhm.
And that just because they qualify from their credit standpoint and their income doesn't mean that that is, money in their pocket. So I just try to educate when I see those that pop up through negotiations is, that is good debt, but it is debt and it is at their option. So, but I think seeing a solid pre-approval that isn't, nobody wants to see it eke, just above the number, that things adjust. So I think it's good to have a healthy overage. Does it make me nervous if it's twice as high? Maybe, but I think a healthy overage is good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I agree with that. For this particular situation, I tend to stay in my lane a little bit and just be the
Good
numbers.
job. Did you hear that, Amy? I just heard it. He likes to stay in his own lane. That's perfect.
That's good stuff. Yes.
Ideally, from a loan officer standpoint, what I practice
Mhm.
is that I will have a conversation with my agent and let them know, okay, this is where we're at, right? And I know a lot of the financial information is personal, and there's only so much I can disclose. But we're both on the same team, and you handle the negotiations of everything. So I'll ask you and defer to your judgment on where you see.
From the best negotiating standpoint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know where the numbers are, and I will provide us the most freedom and flexibility based on where we have to set the offer. Now, as far as the max, I always work things in a way that I give myself a little bit of breathing room, right? Because if there is contingencies in place, we want to be able to go up. If rates go up, we want to have freedom and flexibility where we do not blow that offer. So I always set it up a way to give myself a buffer. I don't just set an offer in right at max.
Okay, perfect. So with 4 minutes left, right?
Yeah, 4 minutes, but we want you guys to be able to give your contact information out to all of our listeners. So Trevor, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can email me at trevor@superiorrate.com, or you can give me a call on my personal line here. It is 781-650-0865.
And can you repeat that one more time?
781-650-0865. 0865.
Okay. And
Perfect.
Amy, if you want to give us everybody your contact information, if they need any legal advice when it comes to real estate, or do you do any of the state stuff, any estate stuff?
I now do estate planning, but I do, if we need to deal with estates for sale, dealing with license to sell and things like that. So I do have to give a little shout out for Trevor, because he is one of the most communicative and brokers that I've worked with. And I have to say that on the deal that I currently have with him, he gives an update to all the parties every single week, which is amazing. It's something I haven't seen before. So he's really been exceptional and obviously very knowledgeable. So I'm really happy to support him in his work for sure. I am Amy Hubert Masferrer. I work at Sherman Law. We have a location in Plymouth and in Hingham. And my direct number is 617-504-9151. I'll say it again, 617-504-9151. And thank you guys so much for having us. It's such a great platform. I love these conversations. I love to talk real estate. It's what I do, and it's kind of what I live. So I really appreciate it.
And that's sort of why we named the show Talk Real Estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we also have a show on Saturdays that is a full hour. This is a 45-minute show. We are going to be airing this show again on Saturday because it is 4th of July weekend. So we will be doing that again this weekend. Final thoughts for our final minutes here. Trevor, why don't we start with you? What is your advice for buyers?
My advice for buyers, reach out to, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, the number one thing is to know what you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
So please reach out to your local loan officer and have a conversation.
Or you, that's why you're here.
Yes. Most important. That is the most important thing, because you have to know what your limits are and to go through and figure out short-term and long-term goals that meet your objective.
Perfect.
Amy?
I think, surround yourself with a good team that has the same ideology. I can't even say that, but same framework of thought that you have, that is looking to get you in the place that you want to be in a fiscally responsible way. But my best advice is don't be afraid. You will build equity. You will sustain the market. And you have to get skin in the game if you want to build money in real estate. And there is no bad time to invest in real estate, despite what the doom and gloom news tells you. So that's that.
You can get in touch with us at bostonconnect.com. We can certainly get you in touch with both of our guests anytime you need us. And thank you, George. Thank you to all our WATV listeners. And thank you so much for the both of you joining us. And we'll have to have you back on again on a Saturday when we have a full hour. All right. Bye, Amy.
Love that. Bye, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.